Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll get started in 1 second. Uh. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Reaction Time with Dave. I'm going to start by saying this. I ain't got no voice. It's gone, so I might sound a little raspy. But today's topic is Halloween, baby. October 31st. We're talking all things Halloween costumes, origins, food, and you know my favorite thing of all candy. Candy. So, we're going to get started. We're going to dive into that. You know, things have progressed this year, and we finally made it to the holiday people love. People dress up naughty. Some people dress up nice. And you go out and you say trick or treat. There's probably a lot of tricks out, and there's probably a lot of treats. But either way, we're going to get into it. We see Elon here getting me ready to smoke, so I'm going to pop a dab for you guys, and then we'll get started. Happy Halloween to everyone. And this is another episode, like I said, of Reaction Time with Dave. You can get to everything, all the streaming episodes, and all of the content that WeEDGANG has to offer at weegang.us. Everything is on the site. You can get to all the episodes. Even if you missed some of the episodes in the past, you can go back to the archive and watch them all. So we're talking Halloween. Let's think. What's my favorite thing about Halloween? Movies, the slasher movies. Let's see what else. Candy. One thing I will tell you though is I never liked candy corn. I have never. I don't know. Something about it. Candy corn. So I got this dab for you guys right here because Elon's telling me to smoke, 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 smoke. Oh, oh Lord. Oh wow. Now, dang it, Elon. He got me. Okay, you got me, Elon. You got me. I can't even say nothing. You got me. Elon, you got me this time. Whew, I got started sweating. I need a towel. Oh, oh. All right, people. So we're looking at what is Halloween. Halloween or Halloween is a celebration observed in many countries on October 31st, the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day. It begins as observance of All Hallowtide, the time of the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints, martyrs, and the departed. And no, I always hit you guys with the definition. I always hit you with the facts. So, we'll break it down a little bit more in depth because we're talking about Halloween. So, let's go down to definition. Halloween, All Hallows Eve. Redirects here. That's what we spoke about earlier. Halloween or Halloween, less commonly known as All Halloween, All Hallows Eve, or All Saints Eve, is a celebration observed in many countries on 31 of October, the eve of All Hallows Day. One theory holds that many Halloween traditions were influenced by the Celtic harvest festivals, particularly the Gaelic festival Samhain. I know it doesn't look like it says that, but it really is called Samhain. You'll get it. And the Gaelic festival Samhain, which are believed to have pagan roots. Some go further to suggest that Samhain may have even been Christianized as All Hallows Day, along with its eve by the early church. Other academics believe that Halloween began solely as a Christian holiday, being the vigil of All Hallows Day. Celebrated in Ireland and Scotland for centuries, Irish and Scottish immigrants took many Halloween costumes to North America in the 19th century. And through American influence, Halloween had spread to other countries by the late 20th and early 21st century. Popular Halloween activities include trick-or-treating or the related guising and souling, attending Halloween costume parties. Oh, those are always fun. I know somebody probably saw some sweet costumes this year. And I'm going to show you guys some, so because I want you guys to see what I've been into. Carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. We put the light in, as we can see. The jack-o'-lantern is right here. Eyes you carve. To be honest, I'll tell you the truth. I have never in my entire life carved a jack-o'-lantern. Ever. Never. Not once. I have never done it. I know, sounds, I'm not missing anything, am I? Somebody got to tell me. Lighting bonfires, apple bobbing, bobbing for apples. Divination games, playing pranks. We know what pranks are, yo. Visiting haunted houses. Ooh, boy, 7 floors of hell. I've been meaning to go there. Telling scary stories and watching horror or Halloween themed films. Some people practice Christian religious observance of All Hallows Eve, including attending church services and lighting candles on the graves of the dead. Although it is a secular celebration for others, some Christians historically abstain from meat on All Hallows Eve, and the tradition reflected in the eating of certain vegetarian foods on this vigil day include apples, potato pancakes, and soul cakes. Now, I never grew up really celebrating Halloween. We went trick-or-treating, but we didn't really observe the holiday as a holiday. It was an All Hallow Day. Raised in a church, it's more of a Christian observance that I took for the most of excuse me, for most of my life. Okay, so then we go down here to etymology. And this gets a little in depth, so we're going to go through it a little fast and I'll bring you guys to where I'm at. So it says, in Christian origin, a term equivalent to All Hallows Eve is attested in Old English. The word Halloween comes from the Scottish form of All Hallows Eve, the evening before Hallows Day. Even the Scots term for eve or evening is contracted into een or een. All Hallows even became Halloween. So that's how we got it there. It went from All Hallow, so they went Hallow, and then they went from evening or eve, so Hallow Eve, and then Halloween. So it makes sense. It makes sense to me. I mean, okay, Christian origin and historic customs. Although it's thought to have roots in Christian beliefs and practices, the English word for Halloween comes from All Hallows Eve, and we went through this. You get on here, they start going through these, and they repeat themselves. But what you really need to know is, in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III founded an oratory in St. Peter's for the relics of the holy apostles and saints, martyrs, and confessors. Some sources say it was dedicated on November 1st, while others say it was on Palm Sunday, when Jesus in April 732. But by 800, there's evidence that churches in Ireland and Northumbria were holding a feast commemorating All Saints on the 1st of November. Alcuin of Northumbria, a member of Charlemagne's court, may then have introduced the November 1st day in the Frankish Empire, which became Francia, which is later France. But it became the official date due to when he put it and when they observed it. Some suggest this was due to Celtic influence, while others suggest it was a Germanic idea. So let's dive into a little bit more of this. What is Halloween? The meaning of the festival, why we celebrate it, and how it was explained by Samhain, how it was inspired. So we're at inewsco.uk. Halloween is widely celebrated on 31st of October every year, with the festival now synonymous with horror movies, costume parties, and pumpkins. It has foundations in both the Christian observance of All Saints' Day and paganism, so it branched from being either Christian or pagan to being both. And it says in the form of the Celtic festival of Samhain. That's how those things, so you're looking at, you can be observed from the Christian side or the, I wouldn't say non-Christian, I wouldn't say pagan, but it can be observed in multiple ways. You know what I mean? So let's drop over here. And we're going to look at how Halloween goes through things. And I'm going to hit you with this. Just give you 2 minutes. Bet you didn't know. It's History Channel.
When most people think of Halloween, they think of trick-or-treating, parades, bobbing for apples, and other family-friendly activities. But bet you didn't know the true story behind the ancient origins of Halloween. It all goes back some 2,000 years to the ancient Celtic festival known as Samhain, celebrated on November 1st. On the night before Samhain, people believed that the dead returned as ghosts. They would leave food and wine on their doorsteps to keep roaming spirits at bay, and wear masks when they left the house so they would be mistaken for fellow ghosts. The Christian church turned Samhain into All Saints' Day, or All Hallows in the 8th century. The night before became All Hallows Eve, later shortened to Halloween. You've heard of trick-or-treating on Halloween, but what about souling or guising?
Wow.
All three of these traditions originated in medieval Britain. On All Souls Day, November 2nd, the needy would beg for pastries known as soul cakes. In return, they would pray for people's dead relatives. This was called souling. In the medieval Halloween tradition of guising, young people would dress up in costume and accept food, wine, money, and other offerings in exchange for singing, reciting poetry, or telling jokes. In 19th century America, Irish and Scottish immigrants revived these old traditions. The result was trick-or-treating. At first, it was much more about the tricks, in the form of pranks and hijinks, than the treats. It wasn't until the 1950s that the custom took on its current family-friendly, kid-centered form. Today, Halloween is big business, with U.S. consumers spending more than $2.5 billion on costumes annually. Add in the candy, and it's estimated that Americans spend up to $6 billion on Halloween each year, making it the second most commercial holiday after Christmas. So whether you're a fan of tricks, treats, or trivia, there's a bit of Halloween history. We bet you didn't know!
Wow. Wow. That's a short one, but we learned something there. So what we went over has been reiterated, and that's what I like. Give you a short, and now we'll dive into it a little bit more. So we're gonna go back down. So we know the date was moved, but we want to know, how was Halloween inspired by Samhain? There's been so much debate over Halloween's origins. Some believe that it is solely a Christian holiday, while others tracing its roots to Parentalia, the Roman festival of the dead. However, the most commonly held theory is that the basis is found in Samhain, a Celtic festival, marking the end of harvest season and the onset of cold darkness of winter. It dates back as far as the 10th century, having featured Irish literature and folklore from the era, and is widely celebrated throughout Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. Samhain marked the beginning of the darker half of the year, between fall equinox and the winter solstice, with festivals lasting for 3 days. Man, partying for 3 days, I've done that. The day was brought about to honor the dead as they passed from the human realm into the spirit world, and was marked in a number of ways. Look at this picture. I wonder if that's Samhain is still marked by some groups today with fire ceremonies, is what they're saying. And look, this may be a headpiece that they wear during this festival for the harvest. But fire ceremonies, I've never heard of that. Historian Nicholas Rogers, author of Halloween From Pagan Ritual to Party Night, told Time magazine that the information on the details of the festival is limited, mainly coming from folkloric literature. However, he added that Samhain was a time of stock-taking and perhaps sacrifice, including probably animal sacrifice, during which pastoral communities prepared to survive the winter. According to popular folklore, Samhain worshippers would dress in costumes made from animal hide, sharing food and alcohol as they swapped stories of the season. It is believed Druid priests would build huge sacred bonfires in which they used to offer sacrifices to the gods, after which participants took a flame back to their home to relight the hearth and protect their homes. In the modern day, which is now, Samhain is still observed by neo-pagans and Wiccans who perform fire ceremonies to honor their dead. Because we have cultures and traditions of Halloween, not just here. So we're in America, we do it one way. You're talking about the Celtic festival in Ireland. It's going all the way across the globe. So we got to start looking at how, what, when, where, and how it looks at the world. So we'll go over here. And let's look at the history of Halloween.
Every year, millions of people around the country spill into streets,
This BuzzFeed,
dressed as fairies, goblins, characters from their favorite movie franchise, and everything in between, partying and making mischief. But outside of a good time, how many know why they do it? Today, Halloween is a billion-dollar industry. But exactly how did it get there?
$1 billion, but how did we get there? The haunting history of Halloween.
While today Halloween is synonymous with commercialism, it wasn't always that way. The word Halloween comes from the words hallow, meaning holy person, and een, deriving as a contraction of Eve. And All Hallows Eve finds its origins all the way back in the time of the ancient Celtic pagans with the holiday of Samhain, a 3-day fire festival that essentially celebrated death and rebirth.
Wow.
The Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, Scotland, the UK, and parts of Northern Europe, based their calendar on the wheel of a year, essentially divided into two halves, the light and the dark. When one gave way to the other, this transition was marked by a fire festival. The word Samhain translates into modern Irish to summer's end. Samhain celebrated the dead, and particularly the celebratory feast paid homage to loved ones who had passed away recently, essentially as an invitation for their spirits to rejoin the living. Many of Samhain's original rituals have been lost, but what we do know of their holiday traditions from Celtic folklore and ancient Roman historians is that they were intended to connect them to spirits, including costumes, most likely animal or furs, to help them hide from the unfriendly ones, feasting, and making lanterns from hollowed-out gourds, seemingly the birth of the modern pumpkin jack-o'-lantern.
Wow.
Sacrifices, generally of crops or animals, were made during this time as an offering to the spirits.
Wow.
It was popular for tricks or pranks to be played by humans and blamed on mischievous spirits.
That's wild.
As a result of the Roman invasion, with most of the Celtic land being conquered by Rome in 43 CE, the spread of Christianity and Catholicism would force pagan Celtic traditions to evolve or be completely repressed. In part, many Celtic traditions and popular pagan practices were reframed to fit within a Christian narrative, as a way of converting people with greater comfort and ease. Samhain would evolve into All Saints' Day, which was also referred to as All Hallows' Day, and was intended to be a day to celebrate the Christian saints and martyrs. Essentially, instead of honoring pagan gods and mischievous spirits, they now celebrated Christian figures. While the sacrifices were replaced by food offerings to the poor, the tricks and pranks continued, but instead they were now attributed to the spirits of the saints. Halloween evolved as a more secular version of All Hallows Eve, and eventually it would become more popular and common practice than All Saints' Day. While Halloween has its origins in the British Isles, there's a great disparity in its popularity in former British colonies. The Puritans who came to colonize America were Protestant and did not celebrate holidays of the Catholic Church, as they were believed to lead to idolatry.
Wow.
In the early days of the American colonies, celebrations of Halloweens were mostly forbidden, as they were deemed too pagan or too Catholic by the Protestant colonizers. Colonizer began to incorporate into secular harvest-related events in the 1800s. The mid-19th century saw a large influx of immigrants entering the country, especially Irish immigrants who were greatly impacted by the potato famine. With these people came Halloween customs out of which one of America's favorite holidays was formed.
Potato famine.
In keeping with the mischief, children would dress in costumes and be given money or fruit for artistic offerings like poetry, songs, or even jokes, instead of prayers. By the late 19th century, children were playing seemingly innocuous pranks on their small local communities. Adults would soon find incentive to dissuade children from playing pranks. Enter trick-or-treating.
The 20th century would finally see the commercialization of Halloween. By the 1920s and 30s, Halloween merchandise evolved to pre-made costumes for both children and adults.
After World War II in the 1950s, the economic boom had candy manufacturers getting on the Halloween bandwagon. Movies and TV are also largely responsible for the proliferation of Halloween as a mass-market holiday. Cinemas in the 50s offered scary movie festivals, and in the 60s, the new television industry began running Halloween specials during Halloween season. By 2015, the National Retail Federation predicted spending on Halloween could reach $6.9 billion. Whether you believe that we've lost the meaning or not, Halloween has since evolved far beyond the days of pagan fire festivals. For more than a month out of the year, costume stores show up out of nowhere. Candy corn and Halloween-themed candies dominate whole aisles of grocery stores, and spooky shows and movies build out entire TV station schedules. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to dress up as a gruesome goblin or a sexy cat, or ignore the holiday altogether, Halloween has stood the test of time and proven itself as a holiday that's here to stay.
Yep. All I'm saying is, you gotta think about it.
In the summer of 1793,
you gotta think about what's going on. Like, that's such a big change, you know? Like, such a big change. I mean,
Every year,
went
millions
from a
of people
festival to basically a whole holiday around the entire country, not just here, you know? So we'll take another look at a little bit more of the Halloween history. This is Nat Geo.
From communion with the dead to pumpkins and pranks, Halloween is a patchwork holiday stitched together with cultural, religious, and occult traditions that span centuries.
Ooh.
It all began with the Celts, a people whose culture had spread across Europe more than 2,000 years ago. October 31st was the day they celebrated the end of the harvest season in a festival called Samhain. That night also marked the Celtic New Year and was considered a time between years, a magical time when the ghost of the dead walked the earth.
It was the time when the veil between death and life was supposed to be at its thinnest.
Historian. Just Halloween historians. Wow.
On Samhain, the villagers gathered and lit huge bonfires to drive the dead back to the spirit world and keep them away from the living. But as the Catholic Church's influence grew in Europe, it frowned on the pagan rituals like Samhain. In the 7th century, the Vatican began to merge it with a church-sanctioned holiday. So November 1st was designated All Saints' Day to honor martyrs and the deceased faithful.
Both of these holidays had to do with the afterlife and about survival after death. It was a calculated move on the part of the church to bring more people into the fold.
All Saints' Day was known then as Hallowmas. Hallow means holy or saintly. So the translation is roughly Mass of the Saints. The night before, October 31st, was All Hallows' Eve, which gradually morphed into Halloween. The holiday came to America with the wave of Irish immigrants during the potato famine of the 1840s.
Yeah, that's what was
They brought several of their holiday customs with them, including bobbing for apples and playing tricks on neighbors, like removing gates from the front of houses. The young pranksters wore masks so they wouldn't be recognized. But over the years, the tradition of harmless tricks grew into outright vandalism.
Back in the 1930s, it really became a dangerous holiday. I mean, there was such hooliganism and vandalism.
Hooliganism.
Trick-or-treating was originally a extortion deal. Give us candy or we'll trash your house.
Give us
Storekeepers
candy or
and neighbors
trash your house.
began giving treats or bribes to stop the tricks, and children were encouraged to travel door to door for treats as an alternative to troublemaking. By the late 30s, trick or treat became the holiday greeting.
Yeah, the 30s. That was the 30s. That's the 30s. That's the 30s. So, trick or treat coined around the 30s. That's what I like to see. That's what I'd like to see coined around the 30s. Now, let's look at cultures and traditions of Halloween from around the world. Because, as you saw, they said when the Great Potato Famine happened and they came, they brought a lot of their customs with them, such as bobbing for apples, stealing your neighbor's front fence. They said removing the fence from the front of neighbors' houses. I'm just saying, don't do that nowadays. Just take somebody's fence. No. So, although widely celebrated around the world as a fun, costume-filled, candy-eating holiday, the culture and traditions around Halloween have much deeper roots that go all the way back to the Celtic pagan times. We know it comes from All Hallows' Eve, which literally meant hallowed evening. So there's a lot of different definitions of Halloween that are close, but they are not exactly worded the same. And when you change a couple of these words, it changes the meaning, like hallowed evening, All Hallows' Eve, 31st of October, the day before All Saints' Day. Now, We know it's both a secular and a religious holiday celebrated almost all around the world, but that's not when it was originally celebrated. All Hallows Eve was actually known to be on May 31st. Huh? What? But sometime during the 7th century, the then Pope of the Christian Church, Pope Boniface IV, gave the order to change it to coincide with the ancient, so they were trying to, that's why I said there was this great move for the church, like Skull said, to bring them into the fold. So he changed it to a day of Samhain. We know the history, so let's look at some traditions. Today, Halloween is a fun festival celebrated by children and adults alike. It's customary to dress up either elaborate costumes of popular figures as well as ghoulish characters and go house to house, performing tricks and collecting treats. Of course, for adults, it is a chance to party and have fun evening with friends, blow off some steam, dress up as a sexy cat, Hellraiser, Jason, you know. People also carve out pumpkins and gourds. Once again, I've never done that. Probably should do it next year, huh? Following the ancient pagan tradition of using it as a lantern. So, technically, they're jack-o'-lanterns because it was used as a lantern. But today, carved pumpkins are used as a decoration and a fun activity to do with children. So we don't need them as a source of light anymore. Making and eating candied apples is popular. Yes, those are smack. I don't know if you ate those. Ooh, they so good. Apples are harvested right before Halloween. Irish Americans may eat a type of fruit cake containing a coin. Those who received a piece with the coin were given good luck for the rest of the year. So we got international celebrations of Halloween. As the popularity of Halloween increases, there are many countries that celebrate this festival with their own rituals and customs added in. So in China we're talking about, the Chinese celebrate the festival of Hungry Ghost or Yulan Festival on September 2nd. They believe that on this day their dead ancestors come up from earth to from the lower realm where they live. Ritualistic food offerings are prepared, incense is burned, and paper mache in the form of clothes, gold, and other gifts are burnt as well as an offering to the visiting spirits. Elaborate meals are served with empty seats. I love food. You gonna waste food? No, it's not wasting food. For each of the deceased in the family, treating the deceased as if they're still living. Like when your invisible friend comes to dinner and then he's really, really hungry, so you got to save him a seat, and somebody tries to sit in the seat and they act like he's not there. But it's because he's invisible. You just couldn't see him. Rather than trying to hide and disguise themselves in order to ward off evil spirits, the Chinese give them gifts in order to give them enough comfort to retreat back to where they came from. Okay, well, that one's interesting. Ireland and Scotland. Halloween is popular in Ireland, going back to the original Celtic roots with the festival of Samhain. The Irish like bonfires just as ancient pagan festivals would. They decorate their homes with turnips, candles, and carved pumpkins. Barmbrack. This is the Irish fruit cake that contains coins, buttons, and rings for fortune telling is also served. The Scots also light bonfires and play games where a person must be blindfolded before attempting to eat a piece of pastry hanging from a string. That's interesting. Japan, Obon, or Bon Festival, is a Buddhist holiday that honors the spirits of dead ancestors of the observer. It is typically celebrated in early August and involves outdoor festivals, grave visits, grave cleaning. The Japanese will also light lanterns as a way to guide the spirits as they return back to the underworld. That's cool. Yeah, I like the lantern. I like lanterns. So we got Mexico. Since pre-Columbian times, Mexican cities and towns honored their dead relatives through fascinating rituals like the famous Day of the Dead Festival, also known as Dia de los Muertos, Dia de los Muertos, or Muertos. It is typically held in the end of October through early November over a 3-day period in central and southern Mexico. They be going hard. There be food. There be costumes. It be looking like so much fun. I kind of do want to go to that. Nigeria, the Oro Odo Festival marks the return of dearly departed friends and family members back to the living. It is held annually, starting sometime in September or October and ends in April with a big celebration as people are sad to see the spirits depart. The holiday is celebrated with feasts, music, and mass before the dead return to the spirit world. We're looking at India. Pitru Paksha is a religious ceremony that is observed among the Hindus in India for about 16 days in the fall based. Hindus believe that when a person dies, the Hindu god of death takes his or her soul to purgatory, where they find their last 3 generations of a family. During Pitru Paksha, the souls are briefly allowed to return to earth and be with their families in order to assure their family's place in the afterlife. Hindus perform the ritual of Shraddha, a fire ritual. If Shraddha isn't performed, they believe the soul will wander the earth for eternity. Poland, I can't even say this. Dzień Zanuzy is a festival celebrated in Poland in early November where people across the country visit the graves of their family members to pay homage. The holiday is celebrated with candles, flowers, and an offering of prayers for departed relatives. On the second day, people attend Mass for the souls of the dead. I butchered that word. Just now. We got Cambodia. Puchumbin is a religious festival celebrated from the end of September to the middle of October. Buddhist families gather together to celebrate the dead. People give foods like sweet, sticky rice and beans wrapped in banana leaves and visit temples to offer up baskets of flowers as a way to pay respect to their dead ancestors. As we can see, so many places around the world have similar traditions and customs this time of year. Except for a few differences in how they're celebrated, the underlying theme is the celebration is the same. No matter whether you celebrate Halloween or not, keeping in the spirit of tradition is a great time of year to remember your ancestors and family members who have departed. So those are traditions. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got traditions. So let's look at the traditions, history of Halloween traditions explained. We just went through that, so I'm going to give it a little bit easier. Maybe I didn't explain it that well. Mythology and fiction explained. Here we go.
When we think of Halloween, we think of a fun and spooky holiday for those of all ages. The streets are filled with adults and children in all sorts of costumes, from terrifying monsters to figures of history.
There's a lot of kids out.
And of course Harley Quinn. You can't even turn a corner without seeing at least 5 Harley Quinns.
5 Harley Quinns.
We attend horror-themed events, and we decorate our houses in anticipation for the endless horde of trick-or-treaters that await their candy. Some prefer to stay indoors and binge on horror movie marathons, and others actively seek a thrill, with haunted houses and mazes becoming extremely popular. Today we aim to uncover the origins of Halloween, how its traditions came to pass, and why the holiday is loved by so many. It is thought that Halloween originated in Celtic Ireland around 2,000 years ago, with the festival known as Samhain. The festival itself celebrated the divide of the 2 halves of the year, summer and winter, light and dark. During Samhain, the veils between this world and the other world were at their thinnest, allowing spirits to pass through. Families would invite lost loved ones and ancestors into their homes to share in their celebrations. And in order to avoid harm from evil spirits, they would wear costumes and masks to disguise themselves. The Druids built large sacred bonfires in order to honor the dead and to protect the living. Animals were sacrificed and the year's harvest was prepared for both the living and the dead, with the food made for the dead ritually shared between those who were less well off. The Christians believed that Samhain was a pagan holiday, and because of the festival's association with death, the Celtic people and Druids were labelled as devil worshippers. In their attempts to wipe out pagan practices, the Christians succeeded in transforming the festival into All Saints' Day, or more commonly known as All Hallows' Day. The night before, traditionally known as Samhain, became All Hallows' Eve, and eventually Halloween. So where have some of these modern day traditions originated from? We know that dressing up during Halloween originated from the Celts, who dressed up as evil spirits to avoid harm from other evil spirits during Samhain. Although trick-or-treating today mainly consists of children running around on sugar highs collecting as much candy as humanly possible, that wasn't always the case. In medieval Britain, during the All Souls' Day festival, The poor and those in need would beg for food and would often be given salted pastries made from sacred flour and water. These were named soul cakes. In return, they would pray for relatives who had passed away. The young would also dress up in costume, and they would go door to door collecting food and sometimes even money. In exchange, they would sing, recite poetry, and tell jokes.
Money.
These traditions were eventually revived in 19th century America by the Irish and Scottish migrants in the form we know today as trick or treat. In its early days, the focus was very much on the trick, with pranks and vandalism being commonplace. The town leaders eventually managed to limit the vandalism during Halloween, when they decided to make the holiday center around the young.
Wow. I get that.
So, how's this working again?
First, you make a hole at the top, so you can reach in and scoop all the guts out.
So why exactly do we carve pumpkins?
Right. That's what I've been wondering.
We've come to know them as jack-o'-lanterns, but their origins date back to the 17th century, where their name meant man with a lantern and would often refer to the night's watchman of a town. The tale of Stingy Jack is believed to be where the tradition began. When Jack died, he was denied entry into heaven, and having previously angered the devil, he was also not allowed into hell.
What?
Instead, the devil sent Jack into eternal darkness, with only a turnip filled with coal to light his way. The Irish and Scottish people began carving creepy faces into turnips and placing them by their windows in order to scare Stingy Jack and other evil spirits away. When they continued the tradition in America, they found an abundance of pumpkins and decided that these would make a great substitute for turnips.
Right.
Whether you believe that jack-o'-lanterns keep away evil spirits or not, they have become a staple decoration and symbol of Halloween. Even a game as trivial as bobbing for apples once had more of a significance. In Ireland and Scotland, apple bobbing was used to tell one's fortune as part of the divination game. You would throw an apple peel on the floor, and the shape of the peel would determine the initial of a future lover. There's no argument to the fact that Halloween has changed over the years. It appears to have lost its religious origins, and the superstitions surrounding it play little or no part in today's version of the holiday. Despite how commercialized the holiday has become, it remains one of the most popular. One of the main reasons I enjoy Halloween is because it gives people of all ages the chance to come together for one evening to celebrate the supernatural. We allow imaginations to run wild and embrace creativity. There are no limits or boundaries to whom or what you can become. If you've enjoyed this video, then please consider leaving a thumbs up, as it helps promote the video.
So, what I'm saying is
and allows the channel to grow. If there's anything you'd like to discuss or have any ideas for future videos, then please let me know in the comments section. As always,
history of Halloween and traditions explained. See what I'm saying? So then we're going to Halloween costumes. What's a Halloween costume? Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find. Do I got a costume around here? I probably don't even got nothing. I probably don't got nothing. Let me look. So we're looking at Halloween costumes. Halloween costumes are costumes worn on Halloween, a festival which falls on October 31st. An early reference to wearing costumes at Halloween comes from Scotland in 1585, but they may predate this. There are many references to the custom during the 18th and 19th centuries in Celtic countries of Scotland, Ireland, Man, and Wales. So we're talking about Halloween costumes. How do we get them? I'm going to try to find. I'm wearing an orange and black shirt right now. This is as Halloween as I got. Let me see if I can find. I made something for my dog though. I could go as just a pumpkin. You know what I'm saying? It's me, a pumpkin. Dress myself up as Goku or something, you know? So, we're looking at Halloween costumes. Costume Halloweens are worn on Halloween, a festival which falls on October 31st. An early reference to wearing costumes at Halloween comes from Scotland in 1585, but they may predate this. There are many references to the custom during the 18th and 19th centuries, as I said, Ireland, Man, and Wales. So let's go down to here, history of Halloween costumes. Wearing of costumes at Halloween may come from the belief that supernatural beings or the souls of the dead roam the earth at this time. The practice may have gained or originated in a practice may have originated in a Celtic festival held on, All Hallows Eve. From at least the 16th century, the festival, including mummings and guising, which involved people going house to house in costume or in disguise, usually reciting verses or songs in exchange for food. It may have originally been a tradition whereby people impersonated, how do you say that word? LC? The souls of the dead, and receive offerings on their behalf. Impersonating these beings or wearing a disguise was also believed to protect oneself from them. It is suggested that the mummers and geysers personify the old spirits of winter who demanded reward in exchange for good fortune. F. Marion McNeil suggests that the ancient pagan festival included people wearing masks or costume to represent the spirits, and that the faces were marked or blackened with ashes from the sacred bonfire. In parts of southern Ireland, a man dressed as Labairn, white mayor, led youths house to house, reciting verses of which some of which had pagan overtones. Let me read that exact. In exchange for food. Well, I mean, you need food. If the household donated food, it could expect good fortune from the Makala, which, in not doing so, would bring misfortune. Youths went house to, in 19th century England, youths went house to house with masks painted or blackened faces, threatened to do mischief if they were not welcome. Said in parts of Wales, men went about dressed as fearsome beings called Gwarchad, while in some places young people cross-dressed. Hey, be free. Elsewhere in Europe, mumming and costuming were part of the yearly festivals. However, the Celtic-speaking regions were particularly appropriate to a night upon where supernatural beings were said to be abroad and could be intimidated or warded off by human wanderers. So let's look at, what do we got? Costumes, Halloween costumes. I mean, you can do so many things in this world. So I'm going to give you a few examples of costumes. Look, a mermaid. You got houseplants, birds. People are Beetlejuice. I mean, popular cultures have done all of this. You know what I'm saying? So you got costumes, but look at some of these costumes are from what? They are from movies. Like literally, they're from movies. So let's look at a list of films set around Halloween. That is one of the big, it's influenced everything. It makes Halloween what it is. We obviously know Scary Movie, the Halloween franchise, Night of Demons franchise. That's what they're saying. Scooby-Doo, Hotel Transylvania, that's the kid stuff. Halloween Town, that's Disney, man. Disney, yeah, they had Halloween Town. I think I've seen all of them. But then you're looking at Scary Movie, and look at the years that it spans, 13 whole years. Then you got horror and thriller and that. And then, some of these aren't exactly Halloween movies, but a lot of these are set around or, you know what I mean, has something to do with Halloween. Halloween night. There's one about a high school. I forgot what it's called. House of a Thousand Corpses. That's a great movie. That's just a horror movie. Tales of Halloween. And then there's Halloween. I have not watched Halloween Ends yet, but that Halloween Resurrection, it's Michael Myers. Come on, we all know. Night of the Demons franchise. Like, there's kids Halloween movies, you know what I mean? Like Batman, The Long Halloween. There's like stuff. So, and all of this, look at all these years are spanning. Something Wicked This Way Comes. I've seen that too. You're looking at, look, hold up, I gotta find it. Garfield's Halloween Adventure. I mean, we do like Garfield. He's an orange cat. Goosebumps. Haunted Halloween. Yeah, those, interesting. I don't even think I watched this one. I think I watched the first one. So there's so many movies. Under Wraps. That's that movie for, wait, they made Under Wraps again. I remember this movie, Under Wraps. Telling you, Disney Channel was hitting when we were younger. They had it. They had it all. They had it all. They had it all. So we're going to go, and when you're looking at Halloween and costumes idea, you got a lot of things that are going. So we can look at something that's a little bit more. Then you got Maleficent. You've got Light Brights. You got somebody dressed as Thanos. You got Dion Davenport. You got Agatha Harkness. You got all of this stuff. Even the mask. I remember that. Who doesn't remember the mask? That's Jim Carrey, dude. Come on. Smoking Serena Williams. There's Bob Ross. There are so many things you can do. So I'm going to give you a taste of 50 Halloween costume ideas, and I'm going to take you to my favorite, the candy and the food, baby. But look, she'll give you a couple ideas. 50 Halloween costumes.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you can see by the title, we're doing something a little bit cray-cray. As you can see, is that time of the year by my background and my jumper. So I thought today I would do the 50 Halloween costume ideas video. I did this video last year and it went down so well. You guys really loved it and got so many ideas. So I thought, why not do it again? Although I have to say, this time it was a little bit harder because I already did 50 last year, so I had to think of 50 brand new costume ideas. But I feel like we got there in the end, so I really hope you guys enjoy. If you do, make sure you smash that huge thumbs up just down below. And also don't forget to subscribe and come and join the dinosaur family. I'm not going to ramble on too long because we have 50 Halloween costumes to get through.
And I don't think we're going to go through all 50.
So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the video.
Maybe not go through all 50. I don't know. Probably not go through all 50. Give you a breeze through those ones. Deadpool. I mean, she's really good. I'm talking about she's really good. Wizard of Oz, Dorothy. She makes stuff look good, I will say that. Yeah, that was nice. Pennywise. I'm just saying, this imagery for my brain may not be so good. 101 Dalmatians. So she goes through 50 of these guys. Like, she does some stuff. Like, she's good. Elsa, and she every single one of them. So we're talking about. Let's talk about food then. Because we can go all day looking at costumes. Your favorite popular culture icons, everything that you love can be a costume. Now let's talk about food. Let's talk about 50 recipes. Let's talk about getting fat on a holiday. Because I love food. So there's Halloween Jello shots. You can spike these, man. I'm just going to run through these Halloween Jello shots. Like, look at this. I'm hungry. Chicken pumpkins. What? How do you make chicken bites look like little pumpkins? Straightforward night cuts. Nuggets are soaked in. Okay, chicken pumpkins. No baked strawberry cheesecake that looks like a brain. Come on, yo. You feel it? I feel it. Ooh. Those are raw. Blueberry mummy muffins. I'm fat, yo. I'm trying to tell y'all. Pumpkin cheese ball. Hey, that's raw. Somebody, again, we're on Food Network, by the way. There's only 2 stations you need to watch in this world. Food Network and Motor Trend. That's all that. Okay, there's some other stuff that matters too. But them 2 are important. Pumpkin cheese ball, we need that. Scary peanut butter spider crack. Oh, those are cookies, not crackers. That's raw. They got spiders on them. Oh, that's sweet. Frankenshake and Bride of Frankenshake. Come on, yo. That shit's good as I'm just saying. Apple spider web pops. There's so many things. Mac lantern and cheese balls. What? Orange bell pepper, carved out and ready for Halloween, becomes an edible bowl for creamy mac and cheese. Come on now. Listen, y'all. Berry eyeball punch. Look at these. These are scary treats that look good to eat. I'm just saying. Looks real good. Halloween Oreo roll. What? I needs parts. What's up? I needs parts and all that. A crispy treat witch's hat. I needs parts and all of it. Halloween chocolate chip cookies. Come on, y'all. I can't. You gotta feel me on this stuff. Eyeballs, cake eyeballs, bloody pancakes. You can get your killer on. You can get your Mike Myers on. Look at this. Halloween deviled tea eggs. Those are actually raw. I might need that. Then you got hot dog mummies. Look at how these work. Look at how beautiful they are. And then you got candy corn cheese tower. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There's food on food. Poison apple punch. Spiderweb guacamole. Cake pop brains. You see what we're doing, people? You see how we're eating now. Halloween main dishes. I started to look at some of this stuff, and I'm like, I could eat Sloppy Joes anytime. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to see what people eat at Halloween. Mini meatloaf ghosts, octo dogs, stuffed jack-o'-lantern bell peppers, rat loaf. You see that rat loaf? It looks like a rat. Halloween zombie meatloaf. I'm just saying, I love food. Now, let's get to the thing that's most important, the candy. You know, we go around there. This is what we're living for, candy. Trick or treat, we went over everything. Went over everything. So let's look at the top 10 Halloween candies based on sales. And then I'll leave you guys alone for another episode.
More Halloween candy? Didn't you just buy a bunch of it yesterday?
It's nearly the holiday season, and that means Halloween is nearly here. With children everywhere getting ready for an evening of candy-fueled fun, we look at the candies that will fill everyone's trick-or-treat bag. Whether it's world-famous favorites or something more obscure, the biggest night of candy is coming. Here's the top 10 most popular Halloween candy based on sales.
We have to go buy 7 or else good candy will be gone.
Hershey's.
Elon want me to hit that dab, yo.
We start our list with a candy classic. For well over 100 years, these giants of the candy world have been satisfying our chocolate needs, as well as fueling them. Starting out, Hershey's quickly grew into one of the biggest and most successful confectionery companies.
And I'm so happy for them.
During the 1940s, the U.S. Army included a Hershey bar in every GI's ration kit. That's a ration kit we could all enjoy. Over the years, Hershey's may have left the military behind them and instead focused on adding many different candies, chocolates, and flavor combinations to their ever-growing roster. However, sometimes we all need to go back to basics and enjoy the original Hershey's from a simpler time. Pure milk chocolate greatness.
My show.
I love chocolate.
For all parents out there that are craving something sweet but feel too old for trick-or-treating, Hershey's are reportedly teaming up with Youngling to create a sweet alcoholic drink. Although this little treat will only be available in certain bars for now, it may not be long before everyone is enjoying a happy Hershey's Halloween. Sour Patch Kids.
You don't have to tell me Sour Patch Kids are good. I know Sour Patch Kids are good.
The next 2 entries on our list are actually a tie between candies. Many children this Halloween will be seeing plenty of these candies. For our first tie, we turn to Sour Patch Kids. If there is one thing besides candy that makes Halloween one of the more popular holidays, then it's the fact that we can all act like children. From young and old alike, anyone can dress up and release their juvenile silliness. What better way to embrace the childish side of life than with a candy that reflects this? Sour Patch Kids. While there are plenty of gummy candies out there, none are more fun than Sour Patch Kids. Gummy bears and gummy worms are all well and good, but what other sweet treat gives you a burst of both sweet and sour at the same time? We've all pulled that same face. Our eyes shut tight as our mouths suck hard to extinguish the sour fire that is engulfing our tongue.
God, birds! Thank you for this gift!
But then the moment passes, and we go back for more. Then, of course, there is the fact that these little treats are shaped like people. Just for those moments of rage and aggression, biting the heads off these tiny people can give a sweet moment of bliss. There may be better candies out there, but none are as fun as Sour Patch Kids.
Without me, you'd still be turning bags of Sour Patch Kids inside out to lick them clean. I got my money's worth.
Tootsie Pops.
I also might have to steal some stuff. Possibly lick some things. These pops come to mind.
This next entry is tied with the Sour Patch Kids on our most popular Halloween candies by sales alone list. And it's possibly one of the most common seen candies out there. It is, of course, Tootsie Pops. This hard candy lollipop will be thrown into almost everyone's trick-or-treat bag this Halloween. Although they might not be the most popular candy choice by children, they are, however, one of the cheapest and easiest to please everyone. If there is any fun to be had from a Tootsie Pop, then it's the challenge of licking to the center. We all remember the commercials asking us how many licks it would take to reach the center.
You always thought you were better than us, like that stuck-up owl from the Tootsie Pop commercial.
Over the years, scientific studies have actually been performed to find out just how many licks it takes to get to the center. The answer is... it varies. Disappointing, we know, but the studies range from around 144 to over 400 licks. Still, if you need to keep the little ones occupied this Halloween, then put their licking powers to the test.
I'll lick you. You wouldn't. Oh, yeah?
Hot tamales.
Okay, be careful, Kevin. They're kind of spicy.
Hot tamales.
Yeah.
Our next entry was once mentioned in the B-52's Song for a Future Generation, as well as being eaten by Madonna in her documentary, Madonna, Truth or Dare. Sometimes a candy can be cool, no pun intended, and that candy can almost define a generation just by being a rebel. After all, if James Dean was a candy, then he would be hot tamales. So if you're looking for some spice to warm you up this Halloween, then look no further than hot tamales. The red, cinnamon-flavored candy packs a punch of intense heat that can make even the toughest of us wince.
My mouth is on fire.
We should have been warned by the box. Dark red with flames coming out of it. We should know better, but we all love a challenge. To make matters worse, there is now a Hot Tamales 3 alarm, which contains hot, hotter, and hottest. Can we take any more heat? Kids will find out this Halloween, as no doubt a box of these hot candies will find their way into their trick-or-treat bags. Water on standby. There are many candies and chocolates out there, but not many are as distinctive and unique as the classic hot tamales.
Right now.
How is someone so lame related to a hot tamale like me?
Candy corn.
My toes taste like candy corn. Is that bad?
We all have fond memories of trick-or-treating, dressing up in our favorite scary costumes, meeting up with friends, and then going from house to house to collect our well-earned candies. Then, of course, there is going home, emptying out our spoils and enjoying the candy fun. However, a lot of the time, the anticipation is almost too much because the reality for a lot of people is a handful of candy corn. Nothing screams Halloween more than candy corn. The colors alone make it a perfect Halloween treat. However, candy corn is one of the few candies that has everyone truly divided.
Yeah, I don't like candy corn. You hate it. I hate it.
It's earwax formed in the shape of a...
Yes!
So much so that candy corn is often in the top 2 when it comes to worst Halloween candies.
Yes.
Fortunately for this sugary sweet, this list is based on sales, and as candy corn is cheap and easy to give a lot out, it makes our most popular list.
Oreos with candy corn filling. Holy hell, yes!
Starburst.
They're just so juicy.
Never.
You will notice from our list that there is one theme that binds...
I'm going to take you guys. We're not going to watch all of this. We're on Bible Top. We got Hershey's, Sour Patch Kids, Tootsie Pops, Hot Tamales, Candy Corn, Starburst, Snickers, M&M's, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and Skittles. Candy's not good for you, kids. Don't eat it. Just kidding. It's not good for you, but it tastes good. I love candy. I love the holidays. I love food. The delicious, the delectable, scary-looking treats. I need them all. I need them all. So, we've made it to the end here, guys. What did we learn today? I don't even know what we learned. Nah, we learned about Halloween. We learned about what Halloween was. And remember, it's less commonly known as All Halloween or All Hallows Eve. All Saints Eve. It's a celebration observed in many countries on the 31st of October, the eve of All Hallows Day, which is All Saints Day, November 1st. And it begins the observance of All Hallowtide, the time of the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints, martyrs, and departed. We know in Mexico, you remember your ancestors. The basis of the holiday is that we remember our loved ones who have passed on. And that's what we're looking to do. That is what we're looking to do. So everybody, you know what it is. Another episode of Reaction Time with Dave. You guys should probably check the credits. Hey, I did it right this time. Check those credits. Check the credits. Check them. Happy Halloween, everyone. Stay spooky. Stay safe. Stay Weed Gang. I'm out.